Hey everybody, it's Alex back with another video. In this video, I want to chat about the tools I use in the real estate wholesaling business here locally. So as I've been rebuilding, there are some tools that I've signed up for and tried to implement into the business, and a lot of them are super helpful. It'd be hard to do this business without it. I will say it is totally possible to do this business without any tools, right? Just go drive around town, look for properties, look up their phone number online, give them a call, see what happens. You don't need any fancy tools or anything to do this business when you're first starting out. I remember when I first started, I had pulled a list online just from some website, right? I paid maybe 10, 15 bucks for a list of properties, and then I went on free websites to get their phone numbers, and I just started cold calling and texting. It's totally possible to do this business without any tools, but those who are looking for the tools that I use in my business currently, just wanted to touch on some of those. The first thing I use that's most important for me is a CRM. So I've used Podio and Freedom Logic. Freedom Logic is built exactly for what I do, but Podio is a free or super cheap CRM, customer relations management tool, to keep track of all your leads and then call them when you're supposed to call them. It's a good follow-up system so that you can stay on top of your calendar and reach back out to people once you get people interested. Freedom Logic is a little more advanced. I can do a lot through that system. I can call directly from that system. I can build a website through that system, and I can track everything, send documents. So Freedom Logic is one that I have used when the business was really kicking back in the day, but I'm going to use that as I implement more things into the business as well. So Freedom Logic as a CRM, and Podio as a cheaper option when I was first getting into it. Another one is Deal Machine. Deal Machine is a way to get lists and manage lists of properties. I personally use it just for driving for dollars. When I'm driving around the county looking for the houses that are distressed that could maybe use a fix-up, right? Driving for dollars. I use Deal Machine to instantly get that information about that property and add them to a list. I've used other things in the past like Land Glide, which I can see the parcel and the property owner from there. But in order to add that to a list that I can export and then market to, I've used Deal Machine for that. There's a bunch of features that Deal Machine has, like sending mail and getting real deep dive into who owns that property and how to get a hold of them. But I just personally use it for driving for dollars. It's super quick and easy to follow you on a GPS while you're driving around town. I also use Blue Lane to keep track of where I've been, right? You drive down a lot of streets when you're doing that. In Blue Lane, you can just press start and it'll track where you have been, so you don't go down the same street. Another thing I use to get information about properties that I'm working on is REI Automator. It has all the properties in the US and elsewhere that you can search, look up, see who owns it, see any information you're going to need about that property. It's just pulling all the public records from Access Kent and other places online, and even the MLS, to give you all the information about that property, what it sold for previously, who owns it, maybe if there's any mortgage on the property, and stuff like that. So I've used that to run comparable sales and to look more and research a property when I get a lead. Another thing I use is Microsoft Business, just so I can have an email that has my company name in it. I use a super cheap option of Microsoft just to be able to have Word, Excel, all that stuff. I've set up an email with my own company name at the end of it, and that's just another tool that has been helpful to maybe make you look a little more professional than having just your name at Gmail. So that's something I've used, is Microsoft. It's essential to have, Excel and Microsoft Word and stuff like that if you don't want to run it all off of Google and Google Sheets, Google Docs, stuff like that. Another one I use is DocuSign, right, to get documents out to sellers, get purchase agreements signed, get assignments agreements signed, addendums. DocuSign is obviously probably the best for that. Super easy platform to use. It's easy for the sellers. It's recognizable for sellers and buyers. Everyone knows about DocuSign and is comfortable signing documents on it. So I just use a starter version of DocuSign as well. Last tool that I'll talk about here is Brevo. Brevo is my solution to send mass emails out to buyers when I do have a deal. It has options to text from it as well, but I was using MailChimp previously and had some trouble there. So my way to send out emails to buyers list is Brevo. It's a pretty cheap option as well, but I'm able to create a template and send a mass email out to buyers who may be interested in the deal. So yeah, just to recap, I use Podio and Freedom Logic for CRM. I use Deal Machine to build lists and drive for dollars, along with Blue Lane to track where I've been. I use REI Automator to research properties and find more information about them and prepare an offer. And then I use Microsoft, DocuSign, and Brevo as well. Those are the tools I've paid for as I'm ramping up this business again that have been super helpful to me and at a relatively cheap cost, right? There's other high-paying systems you can use, but those have worked for me, and it's relatively cheap each month to keep those going. Hopefully that helps. Let me know what tools you're using in your business and any of them that I should look into. I'm always looking for new options, but that's something that has worked for me for a long time, and I'm going to continue to keep it going. All right, just a reminder, you got this. You don't need any fancy tools or anything. You just got to figure out what works for you and get out there and talk to people. All right, you got this. Keep crushing it. God bless.